All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for being here today at the Oregon Cyber Resilience Summit 2024. My name is Maryann Massoud, and I work at Dell Technologies as a cybersecurity engineer. Today, we're going to explore how generative AI is reshaping the landscape of cybersecurity and privacy, both as a tool that fortifies our defenses and as a technology that introduces new and complex risks. My focus will be on real-world applications, concrete examples of how AI is used by defenders to protect critical systems, and unfortunately, by attackers to exploit vulnerabilities. A little bit about myself. I started working as an incident response engineer at Dell Technologies a few years back. I currently work on the proactive cybersecurity team, where I take a lot of the horror stories that I saw as an incident response engineer, and I help companies and our customers prevent those incidents from happening. I have a master's degree in systems engineering, and I'm currently wrapping up my second master's in digital forensics and cyber investigation. A little bit about my previous roles as well. I worked for the state of Washington. I was a cyber instructor for the Department of the Army, and I started my career as a U.S. Marine. So, to set the stage, let's quickly define generative AI. Generative AI refers to a type of artificial intelligence that can generate content, text, images, code. Who remembers their first experience with Gen AI? It wasn't that long ago. So, by learning from vast amounts of this data, unlike traditional AI, which is largely reactive and analytical, generative AI can create and anticipate. It's already transforming industries like healthcare, finance, and of course, cybersecurity. At the core of generative AI are neural networks. As you may know, neural networks are systems inspired by the structure of the human brain. These consist of layers of interconnected nodes or neurons that process information. So when we talk about generative AI, we're specifically referring to the models that rely on deep learning. This involves multiple layers of these neural networks, enabling the system to learn complex patterns from enormous data sets. One specific type of generative model that's especially important is the Generative Adversarial Network, or GANs. GANs consist of two neural networks that compete with each other, a generator that creates content, and a discriminator that evaluates it. The generator gets better over time at creating realistic content, while the discriminator improves at detecting what's real and what's fake. This adversarial process is what makes GANs capable of creating things like deepfakes, which are highly realistic but entirely synthetic images or videos. You may have seen your parents on Facebook commenting on these already. In cybersecurity, generative AI plays a dual role. It's enhancing our defenses by analyzing the data and predicting threats, but it also introduces new vulnerabilities, such as deepfake scams and AI-driven phishing. Today, we'll explore both sides of this equation, along with examples from the industry, including it here at Dell. So, let's begin by understanding how far AI in cybersecurity has come. A decade ago, AI was mainly used for basic automation. We scanned logs for anomalies. We helped with simple threat detection tasks using AI. Today, it's an essential component within cybersecurity. It helps prevent, detect, and respond to threats in real time. For instance, Google's DeepMind recently achieved a breakthrough in biology, predicting protein structures. This shows AI's capability in identifying complex patterns far faster and more accurately than humans. This is something that would have taken PhD students months to complete a single fold. Now we can do it about 200 million in a single day. In cybersecurity, this same technology can be applied to detect vulnerabilities and predict cyber attacks. AI can help anticipate an attacker's moves by analyzing massive data sets, identifying those subtle signs so we can track an attack that's impending before it happens. This capability to predict threats before they materialize is what's revolutionizing our approach to cybersecurity, turning it from a largely reactive field into a proactive one. Incorporating AI into cybersecurity has been a game changer here at Dell Technologies. So we utilize AI-driven tools to monitor network activity in real time, scanning millions of events across thousands of endpoints. To consider one of our real-world scenarios, a few months ago, a major client experienced a series of unusual activity. Our AI-powered system noticed the abnormal spike in login attempts. Thousands of attempts were coming in from different IP addresses. This wasn't normal behavior for this company's profile, although a global customer. The AI immediately flagged its potential brute force attack, where attackers were attempting to guess user credentials by the sheer volume of tries. Within seconds, our AI systems blocked the attempts, locked down the targeted accounts, and alerted a cybersecurity team. What would have otherwise gone unnoticed until it was too late became a non-event, just another day, because AI was able to react faster than any human response team could have. And this is the true power of AI. Identifying patterns in real time and acting before significant change can occur. Another example is from Dell's own infrastructure. We used AI to detect insider threats, instances where malicious actors were trying to access internal systems with legitimate credentials. Using AI, we were able to identify unusual access times and strange data movement patterns, leading to an internal investigation and eventually the identification of a series of compromised credentials. I told you a little bit about my IR days, and the largest thing we did see was ransomware. It was a major threat. It continues to be. Ransomware is one of the biggest threats facing most organizations today, with incidents impacting everything from healthcare systems to city infrastructures. You probably know somebody who's been hit by ransomware. AI's ability to fight ransomware comes down to its predictive power and adaptability. In 2023, a healthcare provider we worked with was targeted with a sophisticated ransomware attack. The ransomware variant was designed to constantly evolve, changing its code signature with every execution. It made it nearly impossible for any traditional antivirus to detect. The attackers managed to penetrate the network through a third-party service provider, and once inside, they began encrypting files. At Dell, we deployed our AI-based cybersecurity tool, VMware Carbon Black, which didn't just look for a signature. It focused on detecting the unusual behaviors. The ransomware was displaying a rapid pattern of file modification, and this followed by encryption commands. The software was able to use its AI to recognize the behavior anomaly and immediately used our custom-created policies, which isolated the affected systems. This halted the spread of the malware. The key here was AI's focus on behavior rather than static signatures. Traditional antivirus would have failed since the code kept changing. But AI could see the overarching behavior, effectively stopping the attack before it could reach a critical patient data center. This is how AI's real-time analysis and behavioral insights help defend against the increasingly sophisticated tactics of modern ransomware. Humans can't keep up with all that AI is capable of. As you may have heard, we don't know what the end game is. Many of you know tools like ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, and Microsoft Copilot. These tools come with built-in guardrails that discourage people from using them for malicious purposes. However, there are many ways to bypass these protocols, as cybersecurity professionals may know. You can even spin up the same LLM that ChatGPT currently uses in less than 20 minutes with little to no experience, with the help of sites like GitHub. While AI is powerful, it comes with inherent risks, especially those concerning privacy. Generative AI systems need data to learn. This data can be anything from network logs, personal information, and all this can create a significant privacy risk. Let me give you an example. In March of 2023, OpenAI's ChatGPT experienced a data breach where a bug allowed some users to see portions of other users' conversations and payment information. The incident highlighted a critical point. When AI models are trained on our sensitive data, there's always a risk of exposure. Always a risk. These models, while powerful, are only as secure as the safeguards that we put around them. This is the challenge that we call the privacy paradox. AI is effective because it has access to vast amounts of data. The greater the risk if something goes wrong with this amount of data. So, how do we mitigate privacy risks and still benefit from AI? One approach that we've been using at Dell is called federated learning. Federated learning allows AI to train on data without the data ever actually leaving its original location. Instead of gathering all the data in one place, AI algorithms are sent to where the data resides. The algorithm learns locally and only on the learnings. Essentially, mathematical models are sent back and not the raw data. We implemented federated learning to help predictive security models across our customer base while still respecting data privacy. In one project, we worked with multiple clients to identify patterns of potential insider threats. By training the AI locally on client site and aggregating the learnings, we created a much more robust model without compromising individual data privacy. And this is one way that we're working to solve the privacy paradox, using technology to ensure that data privacy is still there while we leverage the power of AI. So, while AI does offer us this powerful tool to enhance our defenses, it also prevents these new risks. It's much like the myth of Prometheus giving fire to humanity. Fire was a gift that advanced civilization, but it could also be the end of civilization and cause harm if misused. AI is our modern fire. It can be used for incredible good or dangerous ends. The problem isn't artificial intelligence. AI is not the threat here. There is a lot wrong, though, with the humanity's value system. It's the value set that we create around this superpower that defines what it creates for us. Cyber criminals are becoming increasingly adept at using AI to automate and personalize attacks. Today, we're dealing with AI-driven malware like DeepLocker. DeepLocker was developed as a proof of concept to show how AI can be weaponized. It used AI to hide its payload, staying dormant until it found its specific target. It's like malware that knows when to strike. Terrifying. And take phishing, for instance. Phishing has traditionally involved attackers sending a slew of generic emails, hoping for someone to click. But now AI phishing attacks are becoming far more targeted and sophisticated. In one case, attackers used AI to scrape information from social media profiles, crafting phishing emails that were highly personalized. These emails referenced specific projects. They used familiar names and even mimicked the target's tone of communication. One of our clients received such an AI-generated phishing email, and it looked like it came from a CEO of the company, discussing a recent company event and requesting internal documents. AI allowed attackers to bypass traditional red flags like generic greetings or awkward phrasing. Fortunately, our AI-driven email filtering system flagged these emails as potentially harmful based on their context. It cross-referenced timing, language structure, email headers against historical data. And this is a glimpse into the future of cyber attacks. AI is allowing attackers to create smarter, more convincing social engineering tactics, making them much harder to detect. But AI can also be the solution to these new threats. Like they say, you gotta fight fire with fire. One of the most promising aspects of AI is its ability to fight back against AI. At Dell, we've been working with SecureWorks Taegis XDR, an AI-powered extended detection and response system that continuously monitors data flow. Let's look at another study. In 2023, one of our clients, a financial institution, was targeted by attackers using AI to analyze network traffic. The attackers were trying to determine when the network was least active to time their attack for maximum impact. The platform detected the unusual scanning behavior within the network, although it was subtle and slow-moving. This early detection was crucial. The AI flagged scanning behavior before the attackers could even launch a full-scale breach. Our security team was then able to step in, identify the compromised endpoints, and mitigate the vulnerability. The lesson here is clear. AI, when used effectively, can see through even the most sophisticated attack vectors, providing defenders with the upper hand. With all the advancements that AI brings, it also brings ethical challenges. AI is a decision maker in determining what's normal, what's suspicious, and sometimes who is even a potential threat. This level of decision-making power means that we need to ensure that AI systems are not only effective, but also ethical. AI can inherit biases from data that it's trained on, which can lead to unfair or incorrect decisions. At Dell, we've developed an ethical AI framework to ensure that our AI systems are transparent, fair, and accountable. But it doesn't end there. It's up to all of us. This involves regular audits of algorithms and training data, as well as ensuring that our AI decisions are explainable. Looking into the future, AI will continue to shape cybersecurity in profound ways. That goes without saying. The goal is to transition from reactive to predictive security. Imagine AI systems that don't just monitor and respond, but actively predict and prevent threats before they occur. We're already working towards this vision. Our next generation AI cybersecurity tools are being designed to learn continuously, adapting to new threats in real time. I envision a future where AI-driven systems collaborate seamlessly with human analysts. Not replace them, but augment their capabilities to create highly resilient security postures. We're already working. A significant area to focus on is building autonomous security models that can adapt based on the latest intelligence from around the world. In the near future, we expect AI to not just be a tool, but a partner in cybersecurity. One that's proactive, constantly vigilant, and capable of evolving faster than the threats. To sum up, generative AI is revolutionizing cybersecurity. It provides unparalleled capabilities to detect, respond, and even predict threats. But it also comes with significant challenges, such as privacy, ethical use, and the reality that attackers can use the same technology against us. The key takeaway is this. Although it's a powerful ally in the fight for cybersecurity, it must be used responsibly. At Dell, we're committed to harnessing AI to build a secure digital future, one where privacy is protected, ethical standards are upheld, and resilience is enhanced. Thank you all for joining me today. I know the future of cybersecurity is in your hands. So let's build a safer digital world, one algorithm at a time. I do have one slide here where I'd just like to mention Dell does have internships, and we're looking to stay on the horizon. So when we have new students, prospective students looking to get into the field, we encourage. If you have any questions, I'll be available afterwards, and I'd love to discuss these opportunities further with you guys. Let's see, I think we have some minutes for questions. Yep, so, okay, excellent. At this time, are there any questions? I can have discussions afterwards as well.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is about the promise and the threat of generative AI as we go forward, because how this resonates for me, it sounds like cyber warfare. And when I think about trying to advocate for support legislatively with bills and concepts and policies and so forth, they have to compete with other kinds of things that are looking for legislative money, like childcare or transportation, a new bridge across the Columbia. And this just doesn't resonate as a sexy proposal because people don't understand it, and if they don't understand it, they're not interested so much. So what I'm looking at is what you can tell us and I realize this might be very general, about the future costs of these things and how that is evolving. Think about how computers were almost 100 years ago, when it would take a room to do like what our phones and our watches can do today, perhaps. And so these kinds of things, this technology takes a lot of money, it evolves quickly, and the evolution of it needs to be addressed in an expensive way, and especially it uses a lot of water. Can you talk about this, please?
I'm going to do my best. That is a loaded question. And like I said, we don't know the ends of AI and its impact. It's still so fresh. I know that AI is here to stay, and I'm hoping that through legislation, we can be a part of the solution. By 2030, AI will add 15.7 trillion to the global economy, with cybersecurity being a massive chunk of that. And without proper defenses, we can fall victim to a lot of the threats that AI poses. So essentially, we have to evolve with the landscape as it precedes us. But imagine being the person who builds AI that stops the nation-state attack, or the one who creates AI that protects millions of users from identity theft. I think the opportunities are endless, but we do need to take action. We do need to start taking the first steps, as it is evolving faster than a lot of policy can keep up with. But it starts with all of us. I look at young people because, as somebody who's still growing in the industry, who's still learning and adapting, we really need young people to stay on the horizon and be a part of this, because they're also going to be on the other side, if not. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes.
Hi. Great presentation. Quick question in the beginning when you were talking about privacy, and I think you mentioned something called like a federated learning model, or I'm
Yes.
maybe misrepresenting that. Curious if Dell, if A, like, is that a privacy enhancing technology, and B, is Dell working on privacy enhancing technologies? And I know you mentioned you have kind of a military background and some, in cybersecurity and some of those settings. And I know intelligence and military privacy enhancing technologies for a while for different use cases. And now in the context of AI and cyber, I think more people are starting to discuss how pets factor into this. So just curious if you all are doing work on that, or if you have an experience with it and how that's going to shape the landscape.
Yeah, absolutely. So part of federated learning is it's a decentralized approach to AI. We want to be able to use the technology, harness it, give it to our customers so that they can use it for internal processes and procedures, but still maintain that compliance and regulation. So there are a lot of benefits to this approach as we bring the AI to the data, and we're not necessarily sharing the data with the AI. But this can also mean that the model itself can be susceptible to model poisoning because it's set on a limited piece of data, and because it's blocked off in that decentralized approach. That uneven data distribution could be an issue, and of course constant updates are required. So the safer the data, the more likely the contamination. And so again, that comes with more data, more problems. But they say if you want a safe computer, you got to disconnect from the internet, and sometimes that's true for AI as well. So there are methods that we can integrate AI and keep those models intact. That maintains compliance with GDPR. But the difficult part is understanding the ends of AI and keeping those safeguards in place. Thank you for your question. Yes, sir.
Do we have time for another question? Okay, perfect. Hey, Maryann, good to see you again.
Good to see
Thanks
you
for
too.
being here. A little bit of a loaded question, so I'm prepping the battle space ahead of time with you, and I'm not trying to set you up for failure. There you go. There you go. Appreciate that. 10, 11 years ago, I was involved with an entity that coined a phrase that didn't really catch on in DoD, and it was cyber key terrain. In my background is assessments. I've got almost 1,000 assessments under my professional belt. Vast majority of them on the physical security side. I recognize, though, that it's impossible nearly for us to defend everything. If we can define cyber key terrain, then we can learn what our centers of gravity are for a cyber defense perspective. Has Dell developed or done any work that you're aware of in having AI augment and provide that external look for helping define those centers of gravity, or i.e. those cyber key terrain, to compare the human model versus the AI model, and then understand the gaps or the differences between the two?
Absolutely. So I know that we have a lot of research pods throughout the company. My team specifically is focused on that proactive cybersecurity aspect. And part of that is identifying the gaps between, like you said, the human element and the AI that's out there. I can't comment on anything specifically, but I can certainly share the research and the data that I have after this with you. I want people to come in kind of hungry for the research. That's why I always mention our internships, because these are excellent starting points for projects that we can eventually lead into engineering projects here at Dell.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question.